This video is for entertainment purposes only. This video is for entertainment purposes only. How y'all doing? Afri Queen Goddess, how you doing? Hey, 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 hey. Alejandra, what's going on, baby girl? Yes, I'm saving the live. Y'all crack me up. The first thing you say when you come on here, you don't even say hi to me, child. You don't even say hi to me. You say, "Are you saving this live?" Yes, I am saving this live, honey. I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. I've been chilling. I've been relaxing. It's okay, Trust 3. Rod Watson, what's going on? What's going on? Go to my website, Marvo, isiswisdom.com. Dion Oxford, you're in Jamaica. Wow. How's that going over there? Wow. Hola, less than 24-hour shift. Because I couldn't just find you for 2 minutes even when I typed your name in. Dang. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to start this off and say this again. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Okay, period. I need to say it on IG and on YouTube because this video is going over to YouTube as well. So I have to say that throughout the live. So you guys bear with me as I make sure that this is emphasized throughout my live. So today, the topic of discussion is Hurricane Melissa a man-made storm or was it the ancestors? Now I put a post up on my Instagram explaining to you guys what was going on with Hurricane Melissa. And boy, I tell you, the feedback and the pushback that I was getting off of that, honey. Woo-wee! You got these folks out here that are just hell-bent in believing the narrative that was created for them. And so we're going to have a discussion because what I'm starting to realize is that some of you guys are telling on yourselves. What do I mean by that? First and foremost, any indigenous human being to this planet should be spending enough time in nature to be able to discern the difference. So when I see people that look like me, that is not able to discern the difference between something that is man-made versus something that is real, then I question what type of being they actually are under that sleeve that they're currently operating in. Because not everybody that has the brown skin is indigenous to this earth, nor are they in tune to nature. You see, the originals of this planet was born of Gaia. We are her children. We are the custodians and the protectors of this planet. We know how to communicate to nature. We know how to communicate to storms. We know how to communicate to hurricanes. We know how to communicate to tornadoes. We know how to communicate to anything that's natural that's happening, because we have an understanding that nature is alive. Now, for those of you who grew up in a 3D with a 3D background, you guys grew up in the church background and you're boxed in that particular space, and everything is a devil for you, okay, that's fine. But even those who are in church that are indigenous to these lands can still have the ability to feel things, whether they want to admit to it or they don't. Okay? Good day, good day. So I was looking at some of the pushback that I was getting, so I'm going to explain some things to you. How many of you guys know that when hurricanes come, where do they come from? Where do they start? Does anybody know? Because I'm about to take you out of school today. Class is in session. Class is in session. Do you know where the hurricanes come from? Anybody want to take a stab? A shot? There you go. A.A. Nisa. That is correct. Off the Horn of the coast of Africa. They start there, and then they start traveling towards the west or wherever they're going to go. Now, what's amazing to me is that all in our lives, right, we have listened to these people who has created nothing but distortion when it comes to nature. They have given us scientific explanations as to how a hurricane starts, leaving out the spirituality the entire time in the teachings and in the explanations. Okay? Giving us the cold fronts and the warm fronts and the precipitations and all that good stuff. Right? But not one time do these people ever touch on the spirituality of it, and maybe because they're not tapped into it to know any better, or maybe they were designed and trained to explain it to the public in this way. You have to take in consideration where you learned your information from and who taught you these things, who influenced the planet. You also need to come into an understanding, and I think more of us are coming into this understanding by the day, that it's kind of hard to listen to a group of people who created a distorted system and then turn around and start teaching from the distorted system about nature. You're supposed to question everything, because before any of these people even existed, before any of these systems even existed, we were the natural weather controllers. We understood where hurricanes are. We understood tornadoes. We understood the fires when they would come. We understood every single thing as it pertains to nature. We understood the planetary alignments, and we didn't need telescopes. We didn't need to send somebody up into space. We didn't need astronauts. We didn't need any of these things. And we also had an innate understanding that we come from the stars. We also have an innate understanding that we come from the stardust. So you start to ask yourself, well, I hear all this stuff that they're talking about over here, But what was our ancestors who were reading the stars and reading the weather and communicating to nature and understanding the weather? What were they doing back then when they didn't have this type of technology? We understood, or we understand today, that the Orishas are the forces of nature. They are nature deities. So the wind is alive. That is Oya. The rivers are alive. That is Oshun. Also, most of you do not know that Oya is also a river deity. Hurricane is divine feminine energy. That is correct. So, when I started seeing all the pushback of people giving me inverted explanations to things, I started to realize, I said, okay, I'm going to have to really meet people down on their level because they're not understanding how I'm seeing things. I'm not operating in the space of the 3D model anymore. I had to continue to grow and I had to continue to expand my consciousness, my way of thinking. I had to also learn. When I got initiated into the priesthood of Ifa, and I started really learning about the Orishas, and I started seeing the workings of the Orishas, communicating and having conversations with the Orishas, and building my relationship. When I was a kid, I had a great relationship with nature. I was always talking to fairies and gnomes and trolls. So, because of my connection to nature, and I'm going to say this to you guys, it's imperative that you try to spend as much time in nature as you possibly can, because when you spend time in nature, Gaia's children know when the ancestors are at work. And we do not attribute anything to anything man-made. You see, when I see you guys doing things like that, you know what that tells me? That tells me that you have a mentality of hopelessness, where you think that you don't have any power whatsoever because you're too busy externalizing your power. Your power comes from within. The Orisha are also your ancestors. The forces of nature are your ancestors. The Loas are your ancestors. When we say ancestors, we're just not talking about, and those ancestors too are also at work. But when we say ancestors, we're talking about all different forms of ancestors. From the ones that were once living on the earth in your bloodline, all the way back to the cosmos. See, the problem is some of you guys have disconnected yourself from the cosmos. You disconnected yourself from your actual lineage. And you listen to people out here that tell you that you shouldn't be connecting to your lineage, which is crazy. You see, people that teach things like that, I question who they're working for. I question who they're working for. Because you're never going to see me out here telling my own indigenous people not to connect to their bloodline, the very thing that's been protecting them for a long period of time. And because so many of you have disconnected yourselves from that, when you decided to go into the space of religion, it was very easy for the nefarious forces to then step in and take over and control you. This message is to my indigenous folks. Listen to me carefully. When you decided that you were going to cut yourself off from your bloodline, that was the moment that your enemy knew that they could take you over. They didn't have to worry about that anymore. There are so many, and it's crazy to me because it's like the more I expand in consciousness, the more I see it. When your relatives that live and then they pass on and go over to the other side and they go to Orion, and Orion exists on the other side of the ice wall. That's where Orion is, the land of the ancestors. It's another realm that's just like Earth, but it's highly elevated. That is what we call the very first heaven, Orion. Okay? The ancestors have houses over there. They have cars over there. In my dream state, I can go and visit my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather in the dream state and spend time with them. And they cook out, but they also have assignments. They're also in training to protect their loved ones, especially more now than ever with all the changes that are coming about. Yes. How many of you guys know about ancestor money? How many of you guys burn ancestor money to give to your ancestors? Because that is a thing. I make sure that my ancestors are good and wealthy over there. I just checked with them the other day. I said, y'all good on the finance tip over there? Y'all good? You know what I'm saying? They said, we good over here, fam. We got enough. Trust me, we got enough over here. Okay? So, Hurricane Melissa. I want to communicate to you guys and let you know that anytime a hurricane pops up, I do have the ability to tap in with that hurricane. My ass will literally go and fly over there. Okay? I will fly to any hurricane and have a conversation with that hurricane. Okay? Remember last year when they said about Hurricane Milton? Me and my brother went to go speak to him, my cosmic brother. Me and him, we went to go fly to speak to him. And his actual name was Hurricane Marley. So they don't even get the names right of these hurricanes. They don't never get the names right. And we had a nice conversation with Marley. And I communicated to Marley and I said, look, I need you not to cause too much damage in Florida over the indigenous people over there because they are the descendants. And he told me that he was bringing correction. So what did he do? He strategically sent in through constructive surgery and went and hit the targeted areas that they were going for by utilizing tornadoes. So by the time it got to Florida, he dropped it down to a category 3. See, it's about your perception and how you see things. You're taught to think one way when in actuality, let me shift your perspective. Is that what you're seeing? Is it a man-made hurricane? Is that what you're seeing? Here's a critical thinking question I want to ask you all. How do you know that they didn't create this narrative to make you think that whenever weather comes like this, that it's not natural for it to happen? Or could two things be happening at the same time? How do you know that nature doesn't have the ability to control the machinery that they utilize? How do you know this? You have people that will point out certain things and say, well, because of this and this and this and this and this and this, this is the reason why this has happened. Maybe. But what if there was something else going on behind the scenes that you weren't aware of? That was never talked about? Why do they put out to the public about these contracts that they put out there? Why do they put that stuff out there to the public? Is it to enforce a particular narrative? Let me tell you how these folks work, especially for originals. You need to listen to me very carefully because I don't think you understand how powerful your cosmic energy is. Be clear. That if they can get you to buy into certain narratives, and because of your belief system in it, they have the ability to harness your cosmic energy to create the reality that they want. They do not have the power to do it without you. How do you think all this stuff came into play in the first place when they came and they invaded us? And that in itself is a whole entire cosmic story as to what actually invaded Tamari and then spread out across the world. That was all cosmic warfare right there. We know how the story was told, and it was to deceive you under the guise of religion and create distortion. But there was something that these cosmic nefarious beings understood about an original. They understood something about you that you still do not understand about yourself. And that is your own power that you are not consciously fully aware of. You can talk like you're aware of it, but you act like you're not aware of it. That means you don't believe it within yourself. Then, as you're growing up, originals, because you are true originals, you need to understand that there are things that are happening behind the scenes that you do not see, that you're not aware of, where certain things are orchestrated for you to have certain particular experiences by these nefarious beings. So now you have trauma. You have trauma from your family, trauma from your other loved ones, trauma of dealing in the society that was invaded by Greys and reptilians and fallen Anunnaki, who are your enemies. And some of them can disguise themselves to look just like you. But they are very nefarious in nature. So now here it is, you're going through these traumas, right? You're not healing from these traumas. So there's a bunch of noise running in the background constantly in your mind because of all the traumas you've dealt with that you did not heal from, because it wasn't even talked about as far as you healing. This is why it's one of the biggest topics that we talk about and discuss today, because we realize there's certain narratives that no longer work for us anymore. And we realize that there are people out here that are walking around in unhealed spaces that are projecting and causing a lot of harm. And so now we're starting to get into holding people accountable for the things that they do. So we turn to religion. We turn to different things to help us exist in this world that we live in, because we do not understand the things I'm speaking about. We don't know these things exist. We don't know why we're having the experiences that we're having. So now, that is correct. C. Banks in 1968 says our collective thoughts, emotions, beliefs create our reality. Boom. There it is. So, if they can get you to thinking that all power exists outside of yourself, guess what? You are now creating their reality that they want for you. It's not that these people have any type of power, guys. It's the fact that you believe that they have the power. That's the difference. It's no different than a person believing in a dollar and the fake Federal Reserve note as being actual real currency, when we all know, or most of us should know, that's a Federal Reserve note. It is a promissory note, a promise to pay. It is a debt note. But if you believe that this $1 bill is actual real money, but at the same time, you're not understanding the language that they're speaking when they say that the deficit is this and the deficit is that. You're not understanding why the deficit is so high. It's because you're paying things off with debt, which creates inflation, because you're not discharging off the debt via the IRS and the Department of Treasury. And because they're not putting that out there, It's designed to make everyone or the system fail at some point. Your belief system, your thoughts, your beliefs is what creates your reality. Your thoughts, your beliefs is what creates the reality they want you to have, that they want you to have. They cannot do it without your participation. So as long as you are spending time speaking about the man-made this and the smart cities and all that, I want you guys to understand they can't pull this off without your cosmic energy that they harvest and siphon every time one of these events take place. The real currency is your energy, and you pay with your attention. Thank you, King Fit 418. Boom. I want you to be clear. Corporations wouldn't exist without the originals because they've been harvesting the originals. Do you know that there are corporations that have been sitting on top of old indigenous burial grounds of our people where they harness our energy? They place seals and sigil magic over those mass graves and harness our energy so they can stay in position. Did you guys know this? Did you know about the mass graves all throughout New York City? Do you know what Central Park really is and what it's really sitting on? What do you think LA is sitting on? All these structures that you see across the entire United States. What do you think these buildings and structures they are sitting on, and how they're harvesting and harnessing the energy of the originals? Why do you think there are so many indigenous men and women and children that are being kidnapped and never being seen again? Where do you think these people are going? And what do you think is happening to these people? What are they doing to these people? Let me open your eyes up to another reality. Boom. Allow me to show you through my eyes what I see. So, let me tell you what's happening now. Those same ancestors that they did all that magic on, that they sealed up, they're getting free. The ancestors of Tamari are getting free. The ancestors all throughout the Western Hemisphere are getting free. Did you know that the ancestors have the ability to transform themselves into nature? And they are bringing correction all up and through Tamari right now. So when you start talking about Hurricane Melissa, let me explain something to y'all. Let me give y'all some rundown. Did you guys know what was happening with Jamaica prior to the hurricane showing up? Did you see the videos of the actual colonization that was taking place over in Jamaica? Do you know that some of the Jamaicans were complaining about them not even having access to their natural water resources because the beaches were owned by these so-called foreigners buying up their lands? Did you guys know about that? Now here we go again. Now here's Lee Rock Starsky. Here we go. How do you feel about Agenda 2030 Jamaica? And this is what I'm talking about right here. This is what I'm talking about right here. I'm going to say this again one more time. And this video is for entertainment purposes only. And when Hurricane Katrina came up, they didn't build no smart city for Katrina, now did they? New Orleans didn't develop a smart city, did they? They broke the levees and they blew up the levees in Katrina. They did that. But if you seriously think that's the only reason why that Katrina got to New Orleans and powered up in the Gulf for a period of time and then waited for their winds to get to 175 miles per hour to come in, if you think that was because it was man-made, you got the shit all twisted. Because there were other things that was going on in New Orleans at that time. Now, they go in Jamaica. They start colonizing Jamaica left and right. There were families in Jamaica, unbeknownst to you guys, that were also contributing to certain things, unbeknownst to the public. That wasn't for the greatest good of Jamaica as a whole. So the ancestors started coming in and started bringing in correction, and they're bringing correction in to those families right now, even as we speak. But not just those families that have been controlling Jamaica for such a long period of time, but also those who went in to colonize and take over Jamaica. Now, make sure you watch the videos and see all the areas that were hit. Because when I was communicated to, they made it very clear to me, very, very clear, that they were coming in to clean house. And if you guys seriously think that it's only getting started with Jamaica, well, then you haven't been paying attention to all the weather phenomena that's been happening inside the United States. The weather phenomenon that's happening here in Mexico. Some crazy mudslide took place in Mexico. It was like, they said like over 12,000 people died and then another 30,000 people were missing. People were hitting me up like, fam, I said, I'm not nowhere near that area. I'm not nowhere near that. But I knew it was correction. Why? Because a call was made for those who are not native to Tamari has to get up off the land, and the government's got to go right along with them. Judgment has been brought down on Tamari. And that means that judgment is going to come in through nature. And I'm gonna give y'all a rundown real quick because I want to relay this message to y'all. Oya personally got rid of all those weather machines, and she did have some assistance. So I just want to make y'all aware that that's a done deal, because they got tired of being played with their technology. You see, the one thing that these folks always make a mistake of doing, and they should know better by now, is to actually think that they have the power to move against nature. Sooner or later, the planet's going to get tired of that. As the originals get tired of it, nature responds to us. When enough of her children cry out, Gaia is going to respond. Well, that's what's happening. And when I tell you she's putting in that work, she's putting in that work. It's not just her. It's not just her. Because she's delegating right now. She's delegating. So you're going to see earthquakes. You're going to see volcanoes going off. You're going to see tectonic plates moving around. You're going to see all types of stuff going on. You're going to see land masses popping up out the ocean that used to be in the water. It's going to come up. Not to mention There are teams of originals that are online, that are doing work, that are in their full power as an original, that is assisting in the cleanup of this planet. It is a collective effort. So even though they're going to continue to put propaganda out into the public, it is up to you to be able to discern as to whether or not any of this stuff is true. 3i Atlas, I done broke that whole thing down. And then y'all killing me. Oh, I did a channel, and all false light just coming and talking to y'all. All kinds of false light just sitting down having fool conversations because you are not discerning who you're talking to. Oh, I channeled the 3i Atlas. You really channeled that man-made object? Liar. Here comes NASA. Oh, we sent this thing up into space. Shut up. Because ain't nothing leaving the damn firmament. Stop with the cap. The sun is 93 million miles away. The sun is inside the firmament. And so is the moon. I told y'all what the 3i Atlas is. I had this discussion with you guys about this. I told you that it was a man-made government, man-made object with a payload placed inside of it that is designed to, project out there an energy onto the masses to take everybody back to the age of Pisces. I told you this already. And I also told you that's not going to work. Now, they create this PR, then they're putting out all these different images of what they think this thing looks like. It's ridiculous. And none of you are discerning. You have folks out here, third eye Atlas, third eye. First of all, let me explain something to you. First of all, this ain't your third eye. This your first eye. Let's start there. So you already in Catville. Your spiritual eye came first before the physical eyes came. You were a spiritual being first before you became physical. NASA putting stuff out there. If you guys are foolish enough to listen to anything that NASA has to say, God bless you. Foolish enough to believe anything that these people have to say, God bless you. They have been trying for years to figure out a way to get out of the firmament, and they have not been successful. And they do not possess the key codes to go to the other side of the ice wall because they get caught up in the in-between and won't allow them to get there. They can't go into the inner earth because they don't have the key codes. They can't get in there. So you're going to let these folk who are not indigenous to this earth, who came from planet Nern, Satan created these beings. You're going to let these folk who created an inverted system and covered the original systems that we already had in place, who created an artificial grid over the original natural grid that was put in place, which is now currently being removed, tell you with fear-mongering, the energy of fear-mongering over top of it, which that should have been a dead giveaway for all of you, tell you that this is what's happening. And all they're doing is harvesting yet once again originals because you keep falling for the okie doke because you're not discerning with your heart space. You're not discerning. When are you guys going to come into a place of understanding that has always been about you originals. They create systems to instill fear. They keep the foot on your neck so they can control you, so they can keep harvesting you. Now, a lot of us are starting to come out of that fear, and we see it for what it is. And as we come out of that, the more that we come out of that, the more powerful we become. The more that we come out of that, the more that they don't have the ability to utilize our energy to create the reality that they want for us. They cannot do it without us. It cannot be done. Everything about these people, whether they are aware of it or they're not, all their systems have been created on inverted energy created by the fallen Anunnaki, the fallen angels, and their henchmen, which was Satan and Lucifer. And Satan, being as intelligent as he is, being the first of the 23 scientists, created artificial intelligence. And there were contracts that were put in place on a spiritual level, on a cosmic level, to keep certain systems in place. And they have to perform because contract law is another universal law that has to be abided to until such laws are broken or contracts are broken. So a lot of the reason why you see the things that are going on as far as what happened to the people of Tamari or what happened with such and such or how did they get on top, it was because you had individuals posing themselves to be originals when they really weren't, signing contracts on behalf of the originals for us to be taken over. That's how our land got taken over. That's how we got destiny swapped. A massive destiny swap that took place on this planet. Destiny swap that took place on Tamari. Destiny swap that took place on Israel. Those people that they call themselves the true children of the Most High, they did a destiny swap with the originals, courtesy of the fallen angels. You guys are not even paying attention to when things started turning and really going dark for us. You guys didn't start asking critical thinking questions like, okay, what kind of a being does this? Can't possibly be human. Why is there such a shift? You think that's a real Donald Trump in the office right now? Y'all think that's a real Donald Trump? As if you didn't see a dramatic turn change for him. And you didn't stop to ask yourself critical thinking questions like, wait a minute, this ain't the same dude. This is something off. Like a dramatic, now he's doing all this and doing all that. Now it's everything is the Trump administration, the same thing they did to Biden, the Biden administration. I told y'all they were going to do that with him. I told you that in the summer. I said, pay attention when they start saying the Trump administration, they did that back in August. They started going heavy on it in August when he passed. And I also talked about clones, and that is a very real thing. And I talked about how they have the ability to transfer your consciousness and your destiny over to that clone. I talked about that. And I'm gonna say this one thing, y'all, and this gonna trip y'all out. So I had a conversation with Kanye West yesterday. Not the one that's alive, but the one that passed. I want you guys to understand that everything that you see That's not always what it really is. It's almost never what you think that it is. There are people that you see that are moving that you know right now that exist that are not who you think they are. The series Alien Earth shows consciousness transfer. See, they tell you in the movies. They've been telling you in the movies. There's a lot of these people out here that you see that, listen, there's a lot of people out here that are in Hollywood that ain't even, that's not the real them. They've been gone. I've been told y'all that Beyonce y'all seeing out here today is not the real Beyonce. The looks have dramatically changed. Her demeanor and everything about her has dramatically changed. I've been told y'all think that's the real Beyonce because I can assure you that is not the real Beyonce. And that's not the real Jay-Z you see floating around out here. They've been gone. Ben said it. Everybody that you see out here flirting around that's out there like that, that ain't the real them. It's not the real them. Because the minute they sign those contracts, it's a rizzle. They literally have it in the contracts that they will take your life. If you don't perform, we're going to take your life. We're going to clone you. That's a prerequisite. They have to clone you. So in the event that you get out of line, guess what? They're going to take you up out of here. They're going to activate that clone, and that's what's going to happen. No, listen to this. Someone said conscious transfer happens when you consume meat, parasites hiding inside of proteins. Consciousness transfer takes place whenever someone can use a certain type of high-level magic to transfer it over, or they can use their technology to put your consciousness on a chip. And the easiest way they can do this is whenever you go to the dentist and you're getting x-rays. Easiest thing to do. You thinking you're going to get x-rays to get your teeth checked out. You don't know they're transferring your whole consciousness and your destiny right on over to a chip. That's how subtle they are with it. You think these hospitals are hospitals? Every hospital in the United States is controlled and owned by the United States military. I'm going to leave y'all with that. Everything is not what you think that it is. There's so many things I'm going to drop on this live right now that I'm not going to drop on this live because some of this I can't reveal it at this time, but I will eventually reveal it when they tell me it's time to reveal it. But I'm going to tell you right now, the world don't operate the way you think that it does. Y'all can sit up here and have your little opinions and all that if you want to, but I don't go outside to get my answers. I go within. I stay out of distortion. Y'all think y'all know what's going on when you have them babies up in them hospitals. You think you know what time it is. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, ladies. You better go find a birthing center. You better go someplace else to have your babies or have your babies at home. Don't bring yourself up in them hospitals and have them showing up in them hospitals because you're gonna learn. So, is Hurricane Katrina a man-made hurricane? No. Not Katrina, excuse me. Hurricane Melissa, a man-made hurricane? No. Hurricane Melissa was nothing but the ancestors. And they even talked about how they tried to fly some of their planes in to see what was going on and how they were being warded out. And Ann says, yes, we were warding those planes out, because what they were trying to do was they were trying to spray or let out certain chemicals within the hurricane to stir it to go a different direction, because they knew that the hurricane was coming to bring correction. And because there's so many people on that island that have money that is invested in Jamaica to, quote unquote, do the smart city or colonize Jamaica, they weren't able to get anywhere near it. So if you go and listen to some of the reports, they were saying about how they were trying to send in planes or trying to send in their weather, whatever the hell that weather monitoring thing that they have, and the thing got smacked out the park. They was like, nah, you're not coming up in here, fam. We don't want you up in here. And they talked about how that was unprecedented. That's never happened before. That's because it was the ancestors and they did not want to deal with your bullshit. And you're going to see more of this happening. And these folks are going to be taught a lesson about why you don't deal with nature, why you don't mess with nature, because they're going to come in and destroy everything that was built and tear it down. There are other things that are happening behind the scenes that you guys are not aware of. A lot of these people are losing a lot of money. Talking a good game on the media is one thing, but making something truly happen is two different things. So if they can make you believe that this is what they're doing, you're just going to automatically believe it without any proof that this is in fact what they're really doing. There is nothing that's going to stop judgment. Doesn't matter how many people they kill, it means nothing. Because they're dealing with something beyond the physical realm that they do not have the ability to kill or control. And when that call is made, that call has been made, it's a wrap. So whether or not you guys want to agree to it, you want to stick with it, hang on with whatever, that's fine. But you're going to continue to see their systems crumble right in front of your face. And those of you that are indigenous, it's time for y'all to start getting back to the lands. Start getting back in tune with nature. Because these inverted systems are not for you. And if you continue to hang on to these inverted systems, you will go right along with what's leaving from here. That's how this goes. You should be focusing on your healing right now to prepare for this new earth. And I don't even like to use the word new, because here's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is we're reverting back to how Tamaria originally was. That's all that's happening here. The matrix is no longer in its inverted state anymore. That's why so many systems and so many things are crumbling right in front of your face. Some of you guys are saying it doesn't even look real anymore. That's because the matrix has upgraded herself. Make this the last time. Originals, make this the last time that you keep falling for their traps, that you keep falling to get your energy harvested, that you keep listening to these folks, that you keep falling for the fear mongering. Start focusing on your healing and stop buying into other people's narratives that don't have the best interest for you. They're trying to hold on to a system that they created for only them to benefit off of. You don't benefit off an inverted system with inverted teachings. It's time for you to come out of that mentality and that way of thinking and understand and come into an understanding of who you are as a divine cosmic being, multi-dimensional cosmic being. Start tapping back into yourself. Start reconnecting yourself back to your ancestors. Start meditating with your higher self, because your higher self, which is your future self, is going to guide you to where you need to be. And try not to go outside of yourself to get answers to things if you can prevent it. It's going to take time. I get it. Because some of these concepts are new for some of you guys, for a lot of you guys. I understand it. When you've been operating a certain way your entire life, and then here comes someone giving out information that's turned your mind upside down. And it sounds crazy. And it sounds out of pocket. And it sounds, it's not this, it's this. I understand that. It's hard to, when I come in to shake up things, I'm going to get pushback. I get it. Celesteroteric, you see, you already know what time it is, though. Get into doing your shadow work. And also remember this. Hurricanes and storms have been going on since the beginning of time. But do not think for a second that when these things took place back in the day, the correction also wasn't being brought. Correction is always being brought on the planet. You just never thought of it that way because you were never told such things. They put one movie out, and they never put a movie out like that again. They put one movie out that shows you the power of nature and how nature really wanted to turn on us. It could do so at the drop of a dime. That movie is called The Happening by Mark Wahlberg. You should go watch that movie. If you didn't see it, go watch that movie and watch what happens with the people. And ask yourself what's controlling the people to make them move the way that they're moving. You see, one thing I'll tell you about these governments, that they've always known, they have always known that nature is intelligence. Do not ever think for 1 second they don't know. They have always known this. See, some of them are saying, good movie, good movie. The Happening really shows you what nature can and will do if necessary. Nature has the ability to control people whether or not you realize this or not. Do not ever get that twisted. So when I see you guys out here giving reverence to all this man-made crap, and, oh, it's man-made, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, never realizing that when they put out these agendas, yes, they have these agendas that they put out there, Agenda 21, Project 2025, Agenda 2030, and all these different things. Of course, they have these things that they put out there ahead of time to prepare your mind originals into believing into it and everybody else on a collective to believe into it. Then they start the harvesting. Then as they start the harvesting, they're using a high form of witchcraft to now start bringing their stuff into fruition. Okay? This is what they do every single time. They need your energy to create the reality. Stop giving them your energy. It's simple. That's how this whole thing falls. That's your solution. Stop paying attention to these folk. That's your solution. Literally your solution. At this stage in the game, fam, I wouldn't give a damn of, and they kill me with this, aliens from outer space are here. Have you looked in the mirror? The Anunnaki are coming. Have you looked in the mirror? You guys sitting up in the mirror waiting for y'all to show up. The Anunnaki are here. Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad that you realized you arrived. I'm glad to hear that. To marry, or let me just say this entire part of the earth, whether you guys realize this or not, is an angelic plane. So if you want to understand why we are some of the most loving people on this earth and why we still even help those who have hurt us, it's because we are angelics in nature. This part that's covered by the firmament is an angelic plane. All right, guys. They did the time is up for me. I got 18 seconds remaining. That's crazy work. But I'm going to get off here. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.